AITA for asking for intimacy on our wedding anniversary after my wife gave birth. I'm a 28-year-old man, and my wife is 29. Our daughter will be 7 months old in September. We've been together for almost 5 years and will be celebrating our second wedding anniversary soon. We live in a place surrounded by family, but they're all at least 2+ hours away. We both work full-time, so our daughter goes to daycare. We have 3 cats, and while we make ends meet, we save a bit for small adventures or emergencies. My wife has PTSD from giving birth. She's scared that having sex might lead to complications or another pregnancy. Her pregnancy was high risk, but thankfully, both she and our baby are healthy. However, our bedroom life has been a struggle for 4 years. When we first started dating, we had sex 3-6 times a week. I felt better than ever, physically and mentally. But then something changed. My wife had an issue during sex once, and although her OB assured us it was temporary, things never went back to normal. She switched medications for birth control, ADHD and depression, and her libido vanished. Note, I do not remember exactly what the name of the complication was. There were a couple of complications or excuses throughout 4 years. At one point she had back surgery, at another point she had vaginal surgery, which she fully recovered in 3 weeks, and at another point she changed her medications again. We got through all of it together, but there was still a lack of sexual intimacy all these years. Outside of recovery periods, she'd have a random excuse as to why she's not in the mood. At the end of the day, it was simple. Her libido appeared to have vanished. Note, my wife has never gotten a test for this nor seems to have any interest in doing so. For the longest time, my wife blamed her new birth control but refused to change it. We discussed our sex life with a marriage counselor, and my wife kept saying once we get married, I can get off birth control, and my drive should come back. I asked for a couple of months of frequent sex before trying for a baby, but she always laughed or rolled her eyes. Our counselor suggested I masturbate, but it didn't help much. After we got married, we had sex twice in the 2 weeks we were off with just the 2 of us. At one point, we were stuck in a hotel during our honeymoon due to a hurricane, but she wasn't in the mood. I felt incredibly insecure. She eventually got off birth control, and our sex life improved slightly. We had sex once a month. When I asked if we could try something to boost her libido, she refused. Finally, she agreed to talk to her doctor. She changed her depression medication, and that's when her drive started coming back. We had sex about 3 times in a single month before we found out she was pregnant. It was July 2023. We were both very excited and happy to finally be having a baby. We jumped on top of each other and it felt like we were going to have sex again. But out of nowhere, my wife rejected me. Gave no reason or explanation. During her pregnancy, we had sex 3 times, once on our anniversary in September 2023, and twice in November of 2023. Since then, we haven't had sex. Not once. There were several times she teased me as if we were going to, but never did. It's been 8 long months now with no changes, and it'll be 10 months when we reach our wedding anniversary in September. Last weekend, we were on a road trip listening to the 2 Hot Takes podcast. There was a story about a husband with a dead bedroom for 3 years. My wife noticed I was getting depressed and put her hand on my shoulder. After the story, she assured me she loved me but needed time to recover from her PTSD. I was frustrated as I know our bedroom has been dead for way longer than that. I had brought up wanting us to go to counseling, but she almost immediately changed the subject. A few days later, I brought up our wedding anniversary. I was hoping that we'd possibly be able to have sex if she consented to it. My thought was us staying in a hotel room with just the 2 of us. She just says maybe, but we have our daughter now. I asked about having one of our mothers babysit for a weekend. She said no, that's too long to be without her. I asked about a night. She said no, she doesn't want to sleep without her in the room yet. We have before, but we were in the house and one of our mothers had her with them. I then asked if we just have a few hours by ourselves in the evening when we leave to go back home to our daughter, and we just have a few hours in a hotel. She again said no. I replied, I just want to be able to be intimate with you again. I miss you so much and I want to be close to you. I'm here for you and I know you're going through a lot and have PTSD, but I'm trying my best to try and make this work. My wife just replies, I know. Then she will either walk away or change the subject. We've had a multitude of the same conversations in different ways for a couple of years. Every time we're sitting down alone and having a serious conversation. My wife acknowledges my feelings but rejects my suggestions and doesn't offer alternatives. She always says one of the following, I'm working on it, but never gives me an update as to what she's doing. I don't want to have sex with anyone right now, which gives me chills because she says with anyone. I know, and you keep bringing it up while trying to be polite but sounds upset. The years of rejection are starting to get to me harder than the past 4 years. I have no intention of ever leaving my wife as I love her so much and she's my person. Sex is something that has proven to help both of our mental health when regulated, but now I'm not sure if things will ever be like they used to be or even close. Am I the asshole to ask for just a few hours for us to be alone to at least try to have sex on our anniversary? AITA has no consensus, but OP received mixed reactions. Relevant comments. Comment 1 tab. I will ask, is the resentment you are feeling right now greater than your love for her? Honestly, with how long it's been dead, anything she says is going to be an excuse. She has so many chances to fix it, but she doesn't want to. But of course it'll get thrown back onto you. Wait until you hear if only you did this or this. OP. I wouldn't say it's resentment. I'd say I feel distant from her just only sexually. My love for her is way above it though. The intimacy would strengthen our relationship though, and life as parents would be way less stressful. Comment 2. Honestly, I don't know what to say. Yuri obviously not the Ashley. And you know it too, but really this is something she genuinely needs to properly focus on and get it checked out. This can't just be PTSD because like you mentioned, this has been happening from way before. She's slowly killing you from the inside, and you both are too blind to see it emo. You want to stay with her cause you love her. And I completely get it and praise you for it, but come on, you need to love yourself too. Just reading this, I can sense how depleted your self-esteem is. That can't be good. I've had issues with self-esteem since high school. I'm also autistic. Things that make one person sad, I feel devastated. Things that make someone happy makes me overly excited. In the past, I'd masturbate or work out to let off steam. Sex with her outmatches anything that's ever helped with my depression and anxiety. It's even helped with my OCD. Since I've been without it for so long, now I'm just more on edge. When it comes to confronting people, it's very hard for me. So when my wife and I would have these conversations, it took a lot for me to get to that point where I could talk about it. Getting rejected afterwards just puts me back down. Update. I was shocked when I woke up this morning to so many comments. It feels great to be a part of a community with so many people. Thank you to everyone helping me through this. I have a legit update to my story and I want to answer some questions as well. The first is actually about the first complication that happened when we were dating for about 6 months. I did some digging at my old messages and remembered she had gotten a cut inside of her from my fingernail. We didn't notice it until we were having sex and it wasn't big enough to where it needed stitches. The medications were to prevent infection. Coincidentally, when she got the medications to prevent infection, my wife changed all her medications. They were starting to clash with each other, making her either have nausea, headaches, stomach pain, or she'd feel sadder than usual. Her psychiatrist helped her with her ADHD and depression medications, while her OB helped with her birth control. The mix of the three caused the symptoms, not the sex altercation. There were a few unfortunate times where I accidentally cut her again, but they all went away on their own and were very, very tiny. My wife told me it's fine and she's content to keep going. With my eczema, I've had an issue with being very itchy pretty much my whole life. This made my fingernails over time super sharp. I have to cut them frequently just to not accidentally cut myself. My nails chip every now and then, which also doesn't help. My wife has been very loving and understanding with this issue for me and has never judged me for it. Later on, the surgery she had was a small mass. At first we thought it was cancer, but it was tissue. We got it out and the recovery period was 3 weeks. My wife initiated sex the second that ended. This was all before her back surgery. Nothing else alarming or concerning after that, and no surgeries on the inside again. Now to her back surgery. She had surgery at L5-S1, spinal fusion. This causes chronic pains that come back if she does too much lifting or outserts herself. I helped her through the entire process from when her back started hurting, her surgery, and after. It was the first time she was having surgery in a hospital where she needs to have anesthesia. She was very scared, but she brought it up to all her friends and family that she couldn't have done it without me. She was told she couldn't have sex for 6 weeks. Ironically, she kept asking for sex and I had to tell her no. The doctor was very persistent in telling us not to, as it could mess with the spinal fusion. So I had to keep saying that. The second it was 6 weeks, she jumped on top of me. My wife had to change her medications a couple of times after this over a couple of years. She had told me she's trying to fix 3 things: being able to focus, having a higher sex drive, and being less depressed. There were ups and downs, and sometimes our bedroom was dead for months while others not. Nothing was consistent, which neither of us liked. Getting updates didn't always happen, but she'd express that she wants to have sex but has no drive. My intrusive thoughts interpret that as she doesn't want me. I'd like to answer one more question before the update. Divorce isn't an option because I never want to spend the rest of my life without her. The teasing bothers me, yes. The lack of sex for months bothers me, yes, but nothing would hurt me more than to be without her. I take her out to dinner, I help whenever I can around the house. I'm always there for her and my daughter, and we cuddle at least 5 times a day, if not more. When it comes to sex, it does make this huge positive impact on our life and in our marriage. I will do whatever it takes to be with my wife and daughter for the rest of my life. Now on to the update. I was working from home and I came to sit with my wife and I picked up our daughter and sat on the couch. At first, my wife asked what I wanted for dinner. I was asking about what food we had and she said she wasn't sure, so I checked. It dawned on me, the Trouble in Paradise. That episode, Be Spontaneous. I told my wife, I'm going to take you out. I'd like to go on a date with you. She blushed and smiled and got very excited. We got dressed and we went out, but I didn't tell her where we were going. A couple years ago, our favorite Mexican restaurant had closed down due to a fire. It had a special meaning for us. It was the first place we had dinner when we moved in together. The restaurant had just reopened and I took her there as a surprise. We had a lot of fun. We drank, we ate, and more importantly, queso. We had a chance to talk about sex. My wife brought it up first. She said she wanted to give me an update, saying she's starting to feel a little something again, but usually goes away when the baby cries. Our daughter is actually very chill and we co-parent extremely well. My wife talks about me in public all the time, and so do even strangers. I get compliments about how great I'm doing when in reality I have no idea what I'm doing. Anyways, I told her I had made a decision about the vasectomy and how I want to go through with it. She asked if I was sure, and that I don't feel like she's forcing me to. I said she's not. I said right now we need sex, and if we end up having another one, it'll be in 5 years or more. She asked if I'm sure as there's a chance it won't be reversible. I told her that it's okay if it doesn't, because we will find a way to have another one if we're financially able to. We have a plan. I have a doctor picked out and my insurance looks like it's covering most of it and within our budget. As for timing, we're looking for ASAP. Thank you again for all your comments and your help. I hope I get to hear my story on 2 Hot Takes. If I get messaged during the recording session, I'll reply back to their DMs if I'm available. I'm a huge fan and can't wait to see what happens. Relevant comments: OP on how long it has been since his wife has given birth when they had sex. OOP, it's been 5 months since giving birth, 8 months since we had sex. Anniversary is in 2 months. From what I read online, it's common to not desire sex for at least a year since giving birth. It's a traumatic experience and I get that. I'm not going to force her to have sex on our anniversary, but I do want to. All I can do is help her through this and wait till she's comfortable again. Jasmine Blossom, dude, don't just cut your nails, file them down so they aren't sharp, and use lotion when not engaging in fingering so your skin is softer. And even wear disposable gloves if your skin is really rough. You don't want to expose her to numerous cuts and abrasions because over time that can introduce bacteria resulting in more infections. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.